Good evening, Zimbabwe. Welcome to Livetalk Diaspora Forum, a platform where we discuss issues affecting Zimbabweans in the diaspora. We are coming to you live from Studio 7 at the Voice of America in Washington this Wednesday, April 12, 2023. I'm your host, Jonga Kandemire. Tonight we are discussing the issue of Zimbabwe exemption permits, or ZEP. Today was day 2 in a Pretoria High Court in South Africa, where the Helen Suzman Foundation and others are challenging the termination of the Zimbabwe exemption permits by South African Home Affairs Minister Aaron Motsoaledi. In its day 2 court presentation today, the foundation argued that neither Zimbabwe exemption permit holders nor South Africans at large were given the chance to make any meaningful representations before the minister made that decision not to renew the more than 170,000 permits when they expire end of June this year. The Helen Suzman Foundation, together with the Zimbabwe Exemption Permit Holders Association and the Zimbabwe Immigration Federation, mounted a court challenge on behalf of the affected Zimbabweans. Kicking off the hearings yesterday, the lawyers argued the termination of the special Zimbabwe permits was unlawful, adding that claims by the South African government that the economic situation had improved in Zimbabwe was unsubstantiated. The organization asked the court to rule that the permits may never be terminated. Ongu vadiwa vateereri tinokugamuchirai muchirongwa chedu cheLivetalk Diaspora Forum uri musi wechitatu kubvumbi 12 2023 muineni Jonga Kandemire. Nhasi muchirongwa tiri kutarisa zuva repiri rekunzwikwa kwenyaya yemagwaro eZimbabwe Exemption Permit iyo yapinda mudare repamusoro rePretoria High Court muSouth Africa kwezuva repiri nhasi. Masangano akazvimirira anotire Helen Suzman Foundation, Zimbabwe Exemption Permit Holders Association neZimbabwe Immigration Federation akaenda kudare iri achipikisa danho rakatorwa negurukota rezvemukati menyika muSouth Africa vaAaron Motsoaledi rekuti magwaro eZimbabwe Special Permits agume kushanda kupera kwemwedzi wachikumi. Magweta esangano reHelen Suzman Foundation audza dare kuti zvizvarwa zveZimbabwe pamwe nezvizvarwa zveSouth Africa hazvina kupiwa mukana wekupawo pfungwa dzazvo panyaya iyi. Nezuro magweta aya akaudza zvakare dare kuti urongwa hwekumisa magwaro aya hauna maturo uye akakumbira vatongi vedare kuti vape mutongo unoendesa mberi upenyu hwemagwaro aya. To discuss this issue, we now have on the phone one of our guests, Dr. Vusumuzi Suwanda, who is the African Diaspora Forum chairperson. Welcome to our show, Dr. Suwanda.
Good evening and good evening to your listeners, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. Dr. Suwanda, you're on the ground in South Africa. May you tell us what transpired in the courts today?
I didn't. What was the question again?
I'm saying you are in South Africa, and the court case was also heard there in the Pretoria High Court in South Africa. May you tell us what transpired in court today?
Well, today was basically a day where more of the minister's team, led by Advocate Erasmus, Ibrahim, basically, was leading, the department's case, and basically trying to defend, the actions of the minister, particularly where he was saying that the minister did, what was supposed to be done, and he believes that the minister had no responsibility, there was no need for him to, consult with anyone, but he had done so as of January 2022. Now, you will remember that the challenge has always been that that was an afterthought. In legal terms, it is often referred to as a fait accompli, where basically we say that, look, it's a decision, it's useless to make that kind of, decision because, the horses have bolted. And that is basically what Judge Mota, I think, basically said on Malindi today. But the applicants are basically arguing that your decision is after the fact and you're trying to close the step when the horses have bolted and it's not helping anyone. So the argument that is being brought by the Minister of Home Affairs obviously stems, I think, to fail dismally. And if it does, because the issue is once the judges do say that under the concept of either, perjury or legality, and the decision of the minister stands to be, challenged, then it means the minister's case is going to fall flat down, because unfortunately that is where, today's case, basically hinged on, where counsel for the minister was basically saying, look, this decision cannot be challenged. It's an executive decision. It is policy making. It does not need to be challenged. And in any event, the minister has a right, to take that decision because it is a political decision and all that. But obviously, it does not look at, the issue of the rights that come from people and the fact that there's been a legitimate expectation of the renewal of the permits, especially after 3 successive, renewals in the time that he's speaking about, the affliction of time, from 2009 to 2021. I mean, over 13 years of people living in the country, and then put them, outside like that.
Yes. Yes, we also had the lawyers representing the Zimbabweans through the Helen Suzman Foundation, arguing that neither the ZEP holders nor the South Africans were consulted. Was it necessary for the South African government to consult these parties if the decision taken by the minister was a political decision?
Well, look, the minister alleges in his presentation of what that has got to be scrapped. He alleges that South Africa's economic woes, and problems were much higher, to the extent that levels of unemployment were that high. So obviously, he now invites the South African public to say they are negatively affected by that particular, dispensation of permits. Which means that where he gets that information from. So surely it means that he should have then quoted them. But now we have the issue because, and rightfully so, you have heard one of the things that it's not just 108,000 people involved. Each family has got about 3 or 5 or 6 dependents. And that is exactly what was said by the counsel for the Minister of Home Affairs, that you're looking at about 3 dependents per family, and that was difficult to consult. But on the same note, when he says it is impossible to inform all the big things, the government is busy consulting now because it published a statement on the 5th of January. So he is self-defeating, because what he's saying he could not do, but he also then claims that now they are doing. So it was relevant and important to consult all the parties in terms of the negative impact that, the minister claims that that has on the South African population, and the direct impact that this, the ZEP holders as well as their defendants. So the public notice, and that is what is basically said in terms of, consultation and public consultation that you publish in the Gazette and in papers. Mm-hmm. So that's a requirement, and he was supposed to do that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Swanda. Please do stay on the line. We are now also joined by Mr. Velempini Ndlovu, who is a legal advisor and is based in South Africa. Welcome to our show, Mr. Ndlovu.
Yes, thank you, and welcome.
Thank you so much. Looking at what transpired, what happened in the courts in the past 2 days, Mr. Ndlovu, is there any hope for the more than 170,000 permit holders?
Yes, I would actually say there is lots of hope, because the minister's case looks weak, because it's clear that it did not follow the promotion of Administrative Justice Act, so it did not follow the Pacha Act. by taking administrative action which had adverse effects on people without making them to be able to make an appeal, because any action that a person takes which will have an adverse effect on the person that is affected, the person who's affected should actually be able to be given a chance to appeal.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Okay, go ahead.
The minister just gave out notices to say the ZEP program is being cancelled without him making the representation, allowing the ZEP holders to make representations as to why it should not be cancelled. Mm-hmm. And then he engaged in that process later on, after he had actually told people that the program has been cancelled and he is not going to review the program, or he is not going to review the program. So any consultation which was done was now being done with the ZEP program being cancelled. So he actually showed bias by saying that this thing is already cancelled. Even when he was consulting, was just consulting just for academic purposes, without that consultation having any bearing on the outcome, because he decided first and then he decided to consult later, mm-hmm. which is not what the Paja Act actually says someone should do.
Thank you so much. Please do stay on the line. Dr. Asibanda, ndodzoka kwamuri ndingonzwa nerurimi rweshona kuti taona kuti nyaya yemagwaro eZimbabwe exemption permit anobvumidza vana veZimbabwe kugara nekushanda kana kudzidza zviri pamutemo muSouth Africa yapinda muzuva repiri mudare nhasi. Tichitarisa mazuva maviri aya anzwikwa nyaya iyi mudare, zvii zvamungataura pamusoro penyaya iyi?
Chatingataura ndechekuti chataona uye chatakanzwa kubva nezuro pakapinda magweta eHelen Suzman Foundation neweCOMS, a coalition of migrant and refugee in South Africa nematruck drivers association, inyaya yekuti South Africa kwakaita decision kuti vanhu isamutsiridza mapenalty aya hakuna kuitwa nenzira iri pamutemo, nekuti hurumende inosungigwa kuti nezvebumbiro remutemo wenyika section 33 itaure nevanhu vanenge vachaafectwa nemadecisions kuti ibvunzuridze vanhu vese kuti ko zvatinotaura matarakuda kuti munoti chashu. Saka tinoona kuti ipapo ndo zvinotaura kuti hurumende inofanirwa kushandisa mutemo unonzi PAJA, Promotion of Administrative Justice Act, kuti itange yabvunza vanhu isati yasvika yakatora kuti aiwa takupedza maZEP. Asi haina kuzviita izvozvo, yakazozviita muna musi wa5 January akaita publication muStar. Now unoziva kuti yakaita that publication musi wa5 January, nyaya yemaZEP yange yatopinda musi wa31 December 2021. Musi wa30 December 2021, zvinoratidza kuti zvaikira zvatori zvinhu zviri kuitwa kumashure kwenyaya hombe yakatokosha. Ndo zvanga zvichigwiswa nemagweta eHelen Suzman Foundation nemagweta eCOMS kuti aiwa zvakaitwa nehurumende uye chikonze chavari kupa chikuti ndo chakavakabvisira maZEP Zimbabwe kwakadzikana, hakutisina kugarira vanhu havachisina honda, havachina nzara. Asi chokwadi nekuti takaona zvakaitika muna 28 nezviri kuitika kana kuti maelections, uye vanotaura kuti kuZimbabwe kana kuchaitwa maelections vanhu vanonyangarika vachiurayiwa gore rino kurikindwa kumaelection. Saka zvinoreva kuti hondo dziya dzichamuka zvekare. Vadaro kubva pati pakuuya kwemagweta ehurumende aMinister of Home Affairs vakasvika vakati decision yavakatora iyoyi haifanirwi kuti itariswe pasi PAJA, nekuti inonzi executive decision inotorwa napresident netimu yavo. Saka iyo executive decision haiendi nemapurisa, haiendi kuadministrative action. Saka hondo yatinayopo mberi pematare ndekuti Helen Suzman neCOMS vaita presentation vari kuti aiwa apa tinoda PAJA nevalues neconcept of legality dzose zviviri izvi ndizvo pangwa kuti zvitari decision yaminister haina kutorwa zvakanaka asi ava vakamirira minister vari kuti aiwa mutemo uyu haugoni kushanda ipapa nekuti haugoni kupindirira paexecutive decision.
Thank you so much, Dinotenda Zvikuru, Dr. Siwanda. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us tonight. It's time to take a brief break. Please do stay on the lines.
In times of change, when the world seems uncertain and what we hear doesn't reflect what we see, we seek the truth. When we are told only part of the story, we lose trust. In moments of crisis, our dreams, hopes, and wishes for a better tomorrow depends on a free press. At Voice of America, we bring you the stories that people take risks to see. We connect the world and unite it with truth. At Voice of America, we show you the whole picture.
For those that just joined us, this is the Livetalk Diaspora Forum coming to you live from Studio 7 at the Voice of America in Washington. We are streaming live on our Facebook pages, VOA Shona, VOA Studio 7, and VOA Ndebele. We are also live on YouTube, VOA Zimbabwe. And while we are waiting for our listeners, let me go back to Mr. Ndlovu. Baba Ndlovu, I want to ask you this question, then you respond in isiNdebele for the benefit of our Ndebele listeners. We heard that in the past 2 days, the Helen Suzman Foundation lawyers were arguing on behalf of Zimbabweans and also brought to the court's attention that the government failed to consult with the relevant authorities or also the stakeholders in this issue with who are Zimbabweans, the Zimbabwe exemption permit holders, and the South Africans at large. May you explain that in isiNdebele, what happened in the courts?
Yeah, okwenzakeleyo ukuthi sibone amagqwetha ka Minister we Home Affairs uMtswaledi bezama ukusupporta lesinqumo sakhe asithethe sokuthi akhansele uhlelo lwama-ZTP. Ngakwelinye icala sibone amagqwetha amele abantu bama-ZTP holders abe Helen Suzman Foundation abaphikisana naso leso sinqumo, and then okwenzakeleyo inkantolo ithe namhlanje isihoxisile isinqumo or isigodlile isinqumo sayo isazosikhipha ngokwesinye isikhathi. Amaloya amele abantu be-ZTP abethi isinqumo esathathwa nguminister asibanga isinqumo esisemthethweni ngokwe-Paja Act, njalo asikho emthethweni noma kungasetshenziswa iPaja Act, ngoba isinqumo asithetheyo isinqumo esizoba nomthelelo omubi ebantwini abaningi kakhulu, abantu abalinganiselwa kubo 178,000 ney'ngane zabo nabantu abadipende kubona, uthi yena manje uyakhansela yonke le ZTP program yaqala ngo-2009 kahle kuze kube manje abantu baqala uku-aplayela ngo-2009 and abantu bebelama-permit kuze kufike u-2021. Then last year wasitshela ukuthi ngeke esaqhubeka nayo le program. Then so bekulisaniswa lapho abantu befaka imbono yabo betshela inkantolo, ngoba inkantolo yesazi ukuthi izophuma lesinqumo esiphume nenkantolo abantu abadliwe kuleyo, whether uminister or yilaba abama-ZTP abamele laba abama-ZTP kuze ukuthi balandele leso sinqumo. But ngoba kuse-high court siyazi ukuthi bangakwazi ukuthi bacele i-Supreme Court of Appeal ukuthi isibhekisise leso sinqumo isiguqule siye ngendlela leyo laba ababedliwe abathanda ngayo, siyazi futhi ukuthi ngagcina le case seyihambe yaze yofika e-constitutional court ngoba vele akekho ofuna ukugoqa uphondo. Then i-constitutional court iyona inkantolo yokugcina e-South Africa. Isinqumo esothathwa i-constitutional court yisona leso solandelwa yinoma ubani odliwe. So bafakile abantu imbono yabo basho laba bangalana amaloya kaHelen Suzman bathi lento le yenziwe nguminister akuyona into right bengamele ukuthi akunikeza abantu asebehlale iminyaka engamashumi lantathu.
Thank you.
Isikhathi esincane kangako ukuthi babenze baqoqa impilo zabo basuke babuyele back eZimbabwe.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ndlovu. Please do stay on the line. We now have our first caller, Mkoma Tafadzwa. Makadi Mkoma Tafadzwa. Ndakasimba Mkoma, zita rekumusha ndiani last name?
Last name, Mkuwiri.
Mkuwiri, Mkoma Tafadzwa, Mkuwiri. Muri kupi?
Ndiri kuDurban.
kuDurban. Titaurire tinzwe mashoko enyu panyaya yatiri kukurukura nezvayo. Tipei tinzwe pfungwa dzenyu. Vana veZimbabwe kunze uku vamirira kunzwa kuti Mkoma Tafadzwa ndeapi mashoko amuinawo?
Mashoko atinawo ndekungoti tiri kungochema sevana vebhuri kuti daiva tambonzwirwawo tsitsi kwekanguva kadiki tambogadziriswa kuti upenyu twedu because hazvina kumira mushe.
Mungati nguva diki Mkoma Tafadzwa yekuti mugadzirise zvinhu inguva yakakura zvakadi, yakareba zvakadi?
Semazera tichitarisa mazera edu vazhinji I think takaonawo kana kuti takaona zvema10 yearswo pamberi apa tinenge tichifamba tichishandirawo mhuri dziri kumbawo tanda tichidzokawo tichingoita kuti zvinhu zvifambe.
No problem. Regai tinzwe kuvadare vedu kuti vanoti kudii. Tinotenda zvikuru Mkoma Tafadzwa. Asi musati maenda Mkoma Tafadzwa, hongu dare rinogona kukupai mukana iwoyo kuti tawedzera nemakore 10 ukama hwenyu nezvizvarwa zvemuSouth Africa tiona zviri kuitwa navana Operation Dudula nemamwe masangano izvo. Munozogarisana muchishanda zvakanaka here kunyangwe dare rakupai mvumo?
Kungogarira kushinga because mamiriro ezvinhu ndo akangooma. Kugarira kushinga zvinhu zvacho izvi zvinangoda kungoziva kuti unenge wakavingei. Rugare chairo chairwo kutaura chokwadi rugare hapana.
Aiwa, ndinotenda zvikuru Mkoma Tafadzwa. Tinotarisira kuti dare richapa mutongo unoenderana nezvamuri kukumbira kuti dai zvaitika. Ndinotenda zvikuru. Thank you so much. Let me go back to Dr. Siwanda. Dr. Siwanda, we understand that tomorrow is another court day. When is the judgment expected to be passed by the Pretoria High Court?
Well, look, the judgment is not necessarily expected. I mean, they may reserve judgment depending, obviously, because there are many considerations. As we have seen today that the case that is being heard today has been that of COMSA, Helen Suzman Foundation and the All Truck Drivers Association of South Africa. And then we are yet going to see, the case of the Zimbabwe Immigration Federation, which is coming tomorrow, and also the case of ZEPA, which is coming on Friday. So we are therefore not expecting the judgment to be given anytime soon or immediately, but judgment should come in, maybe in a week, 2 weeks or 3 weeks or even more, after this particular case, because there's going to be a lot. I mean, you heard today counsel for the Department of Home Affairs say that, look, we're not going to follow our heads of arguments, but we stand by our heads of arguments, which basically means that, the judges still have to go through all those papers and come up with a decision. It's not likely, to come, and a short notice. So I am convinced that the decision is going to come much later, at a stage. After this, we are hoping that it will not be the 30th of June, but it is likely, especially considering the volumes of documents that have been presented to the judges.
Thank you so much, Dr. Siwanda. Mr. Ndlovu, June 30th is only 2.5 months away. And if the judgment is not ready by that time, Okay, rambai muripo Mr. Ndlovu, rambai muripo titore mutereri abva angopinda ndichikanda mubvunzo uyo kwamuri. Hello?
Hello, makadi abajonga kandemire.
Ndakasimba makasimbawo ndianavo.
Muri kutaura neanonzi Robert Mugumi ari kuBotswana.
Mukoma Robert vari kuBotswana, tipei tinzwe mashoko enyu.
Ya, mashoko angu inini panhau yeSouth Africa yemaexemption permit aya. Ndiri kuti inini dai kwanga kuri kufunga kwangu kunoitwa nevanhu. Vanhu vangade vapuwa mukana wekuti vakwanise kuenda kumusha. Kuti izvozvi vambomira kupiwa mapermit iwaya munhu wese aende kumusha kuti anokwanisa kunogadzirisa nyika toenda tonogadzirisa nyika yedu tiri pamwe chete. Kana pane maproblems ari kuitika munyika yedu seatiri kuona zviri kuitika izvi, tanga tichida kuti isusu toenda tonoita muonera pamwe wandiri kureva hausi wehodoba, hausi wekuti asi kuti pfungwa dzevanhu dzikawanda tinokwanisa kubuda nechinhu chimwe chete kuti maproblems edu aya emakore eshe aya angapedzwa sei.
Saka muchidimbu muri kuti dai South African government kana hurumende yeSouth Africa yaregedza kurinyuwa magwaro aya kuitira kuti vana veZimbabwe vari pamagwaro iwayo vadzokere kumusha.
Inini ndo zvandiri kutotaura muchidimbu izvozvo kuti tese ende dai zvaita sokudaro kunyika dzakakomberedza Zimbabwe dzese dzandingati maneighboring countries akaita senyika ino yandiri.
Asika ivo vateereri nevane maZimbabwe exemption permits, mukoma Robert vanoda kubvunzawo kuti imi muri kukurudzira kuti vanhu vadzokere kumusha, imi muri siri muZimbabwe muri kuBotswana.
Inini pachezvangu inini kumusha ndiri kutoenda, ndinotori munhu akatoregistawo kuvhota pandiri panapa. Asi munongozivawo ngoti maZimbabwe mamiriro atakaita ndeyekuti kana tiri kune dzimwe nyika saizvozvi tinenge tichiita zviya zvekuti umbindi ndoga, zvekuti inini kana ndakaguta kudivi rangu nekuda kwekuti munyika dzatiri idzidzi vamwe vedu vane mabasawo epamusoro ekuti havambofungi mamiriro akaita zvinhu nemagenerations anenge achiteverera.
Regai ndikubatei muromo mukoma Robert nokuti nguva yakumhanya. Murambai muripo ndinzwe kuna Mr. Ndlovu. Mr. Ndlovu, our second caller, brother Robert, who is in Botswana, is saying that if it was in his powers, he was going to ask the South African government not to renew these permits so that forces Zimbabweans to go back home and sort out things back home. What's your take, Mr. Ndlovu?
That's an impractical suggestion. Not only are there more than 178,000 Zimbabweans in South Africa, we all know that 178,000 people, even if we were to all go back and all of us vote, would not make an impact because the voting population in Zimbabwe is in the millions. So if you're taking 178,000 people, even if they vote for one party, it will not affect the overall outcome of the election.
Thank you.
So, and also, it just uprooting a lot of people. 178,000, it might seem like a small number, but
thank you.
Taking all those people all at once and saying all of
thank you so much, Mr. Ndlovu. As you know that we don't have extra time in this show, but I think we will sit down and discuss that on one of our upcoming shows. If we can have extra time or injury time in the show. We have come to the end of our show today. We would like to thank our guests, Dr. Vusumuzi Sibanda of the African Diaspora Forum, and Mr. Velempini Ndlovu, who is a legal advisor. Not forgetting our callers, Mukoma Robert and Mukoma Tafazwa, who also chipped in. Let's meet again tomorrow. This is Jonga Kandemiri in Washington, D.C. saying good night, Zimbabwean.